What's going on, Vault Hunters? Vanitas here. Yesterday we talked about Flak and the Last Resort, but that wasn't the only Borderlands 4 content Gearbox revealed. Because on September 10th, we're also getting Bounty Pack 5, Amara and the Vile Shadows. And honestly, this one has me interested for a completely different reason. Because instead of sending us off to fight another group of bandits or track down some random bounty, this Bounty Pack looks like it's digging directly into something I've wanted Borderlands to explore more for a long time. The Sirens. We're teaming back up with Amara. We're returning to Elpis. We're going back into the mysterious phase dimension, and apparently something is going seriously wrong with Amara's connection to it. So today, let's go over everything we know about Bounty Pack 5, Amara, and the Vile Shadows. So let's start with the obvious. Amara's taking center stage again, and I really like that Gearbox is continuing to give the Borderlands 3 Vault Hunters more time in the spotlight. We already have Flak taking the major role in Story Pack 2, and now Bounty Pack 5 is putting the focus directly on Amara. But unlike Flak's story, which seems much more personal because of the search for Mr. Chu, Amara's mission sounds like it could have some pretty massive consequences for the entire Borderlands universe, because something is happening to the phase. And Amara may be one of the only people capable of figuring out why. The story begins with the consequences of Elpis arriving at Kairos. Gearbox says that the arrival of the moon changed Kairos forever, and now the planet is beginning to show signs that something is seriously wrong. There are phase disturbances spreading across the planet, and these aren't just some weird little Siren anomalies. If they're allowed to continue spreading, they could potentially unravel the known universe. So, yeah, it's kind of a problem. Because Amara is a Siren and is naturally attuned to phase energy, she's managed to track down what could be the source of these disturbances. And that brings us back to somebody from the main Borderlands 4 story. The trail apparently leads to one of Vile Lictor's old laboratories, and inside that laboratory are dormant order synths, and that once served him. So, Vile Lictor is a big part of this. So what exactly was Vile Lictor doing in this laboratory? Was he experimenting with phase energy? Did he understand more about the Sirens than we originally realized? And is whatever he left behind responsible for what's going what's going on in Kairos? We don't all know the answers yet, but considering this entire bounty pack is called Amara and the Vile Shadows, I'm guessing whatever Vile Lictor was doing is going to be pretty important. And we're not just going to be fighting normal order enemies either. Gearbox has confirmed we're getting new Vile enemy types as part of the bounty pack, so I'm very interested to see exactly what they've done with these enemies. So, here's probably the part that caught my attention the most. We're going back to Elpis. And not only that, we're also returning to the phase dimension. Both of these played major roles in the story of Borderlands 4, so seeing Gearbox return to them almost immediately tells me that this bounty pack might have a little more story importance than I originally expected. Especially because Gearbox specifically says this story is going to explore the phase dimension that connects all Sirens. And that is where things get really interesting, because the Sirens have always been one of the biggest mysteries in Borderlands. We've learned pieces of their history, we've learned more about their powers, we've learned about the connections between different Sirens, but there's still so much we don't completely understand. And if this bounty pack actually starts explaining what the phase dimension is, how Sirens connect to it, and why these phase disturbances are happening, there could be some pretty important lore hidden inside what is technically just a bounty pack. And then there's probably the biggest story detail of all. Something may have happened to Amara's connection to the phase. Gearbox says that during this story, Amara is going to be dealing with the possibility that her tether to the phase has been permanently disrupted. That's a huge deal for a Siren, because what exactly does that mean? Is she losing control of her powers? Has her connection weakened? Did something happen when Elpis arrived at Kairos? Or is it somebody or something actively interfering with the connection between Sirens and the phase dimension? We don't know yet. And I really hope that the story spends some time actually exploring how Amara feels about this. Amara has always been incredibly confident in who she is. She's powerful and knows she's powerful. And she isn't exactly shy about reminding everybody else that she's powerful. So putting her in a situation where she potentially can't rely on the thing that has defined so much of her life could actually give us a really interesting side of the character. I don't want them to just fix it 5 minutes later and move on. I want this to actually mean something. Now, of course, this is still Borderlands. So eventually we're going to stop talking about interdimensional Siren mysteries and start shooting things. Bounty Pack 5 is adding 1 new boss, 2 new mini-bosses, and new vile enemy types. So there should be several new dedicated enemies for us to fight and hopefully farm. And yes, I said farm, because we've also got some new loot coming. Bounty Pack 5 is adding another Pearlescent weapon to Borderlands 4. You guys already know what's going to happen. The second I figure out where this thing drops, we're going after it. There are also 6 new pieces of legendary loot coming with the Bounty Pack. So between the new bosses, the two new boss, the 2 mini bosses, and the new enemy types, I'm hoping these drops have some good dedicated farming locations. That's honestly been like one of my favorite things about covering the bounty packs. New content is great, but give me a ridiculous weapon and somebody I can repeatedly just murder, and I'm just happy. So there are also some guaranteed rewards for completing Amara and the Vile Shadows. Finishing the mission will unlock a new Vault Hunter skin that can be used by all Vault Hunters, a new vehicle, and a new Echo 4 drone skin. So even if RNG decides it hates you and refuses to give you that Pearlescent, at least you're walking away with something. And just like the other recent bounty packs, there's another part to this release, Vault Card 5. Vault Card 5 is focused on what Gearbox described as Space Age rewards. It contains 24 cosmetic items and 4 pieces of rerollable gear. So there's another batch of rewards to work towards outside of the main Amara mission. One thing worth mentioning is that Gearbox now treats the narrative bounty pack content and the vault card as separate pieces that can also be purchased individually. So if somebody only wants the Amara story or only cares about the vault card rewards, that option exists. Something else I think is worth pointing out is that Gearbox describes Amara and the Vile Shadows as a repeatable mission, and I actually like that, especially if the boss encounters and loot are good. Because rather than playing through it once and never touching it again, there may actually be a reason to keep running the content. Hopefully that means there's some good farming potential built directly into the mission. Because if we're getting 6 legendaries and a Pearlescent, I'm going to need something to repeatedly shoot. And the crazy part is that all of this is releasing on the same day as everything we talked about yesterday. September 10th gives us Flak and the Last Resort, Loveless the Hacker, Bounty Pack 5 Amara and the Vile Shadows, Vault Card 5, and the version 1.10 update. Version 1.10 is also increasing the maximum level cap by 10 levels for everybody, which means we're probably going to see a pretty major shakeup in builds at the same time all this new gear arrives. So September 10th is looking like it's going to be a pretty massive day for Borderlands 4. Out of everything revealed about Bounty Pack 5 and things I'm most interested in isn't even the new weapons. And that's saying something. It's the Siren lore. Going back to Elpis, going back to the Phase Dimension, finding one of Lictor's old laboratories, phase disturbances potentially threatening the entire universe, and Amara possibly losing her connection to the phase. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. I just hope they have enough time within a bounty pack to actually explore it. Because something involving the mysterious dimension that apparently connects all Sirens feels like something that could easily be important enough for a much larger story. So I'm really curious to see how far Gearbox is willing to go with this. And then, of course, there's that new Pearlescent. You already know there will be farming guide. There will be a farming guide for that thing as soon as I can get my hands on it. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for Amara and the Vile Shadows? Do you think we're finally going to get some major answers about the Sirens and the phase dimension? What do you think has happened to Amara's powers? And most importantly, what do you think that new Pearlescent is going to be? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want more Borderlands 4 news, DLC breakdowns, weapon farming guides, Pearlescent guides, and everything coming with the September 10th update, make sure you are subscribed. We still got a lot more to talk about before the update releases. And as always, thank you guys for checking out today's video. Remember to leave this video a huge like and subscribe. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye.